gaming, the Metaverse, all cutting edge topics, all areas of the economy and markets that have generated a lot of interest over the last couple of years. But where are we at now in the space? To join us to discuss further is Clayton Larcombe from PAC Capital. PSC or PAC? Did I say that right?
PAC.
PAC's best. PAC. Yeah. Okay, I've got a habit here of mixing up acronyms with just things that I have to say phonetically. But more importantly, we're talking about a space that perhaps over the last, let's say the last 9 months when markets have kind of topped out. A lot of the kind of blue sky thinking disappears. Everyone gets scared. They go to their conservative investments. But in the background, the true believers are still there in that space. Esports. You've just come back from a 2-week innovation conference in New York City on esports gaming and the Metaverse. Can you tell us what's going on at ground level at the moment?
100%. And you're right, we have seen some volatility in that area, especially in the last 9 months. The conference over there was specifically by a fund that I invest in called Bitcraft. These guys are essentially the leader in the space in esports gaming in this earlier venture stage. Now the reason I'm involved with this stage and really interested for me in PAC is because you're going to find the next blockchain, you're going to find the next esports in the venture world 10 years before it comes to market. So for me, understanding what's going on in that world is really important for me to managing people's money. I need to know what's happening before it gets to market and then what happens after. So for me, what happened over there was really interesting. Obviously, esports and gaming is a phenomenon that is close to my heart and as always has been at PAC. We have an esports specific tailored fund, but more is happening over there than I ever thought was. And with the emergence of virtual reality, artificial intelligence, the core backbone of this conference was esports and gaming. But I tell you what now, it is 90% about how virtual reality and artificial intelligence work into a gaming, metaverse related ecosystem or community, and what companies are going to be the star in coming out of that. So back to answer your question, the advantage of this sort of space is that you're not susceptible to public market valuations. That can be a good and a bad thing. It went through a time last year where raising money was quite easy for these companies. They were raising at silly multiples as companies were trading on the market at quite silly multiples as well. Sure, things have come back to a more reasonable level now, but opportunities are everywhere in that space, and it's definitely a space we need to be in.
Is there a part of this too that innovation in the world moves so quickly now that the timescale to try and float a company on public markets is too long to be able to actually take advantage of some of these opportunities as they pop up? That effectively that you need to be at the venture capital or private capital phase to be able to get in there first and avoid that kind of long lag time that can come with all the bureaucracy and paperwork of public markets.
A little bit, and I agree with that point. I haven't really thought about that as much as that, but that's with the emergence of SPACs. That's what happened in the US. People getting to market on a pre-done, already a pre-filled capital piece. Here's a shell, how to get it to market quickly, rather than going down the traditional path. I agree with you on that. I do think that companies are missing the boat on these really opportunities to get to market through these periods. So, yes, I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, just in terms of, because I'm not the most actual tech literate millennial out there, funnily enough, and anyone who knows me will attest to that. But of course, I sit here every day and talk about some of these ideas with folks, and of course, we know what's going on with Meta because it's highly publicized. But when you go to one of these conferences like you do in New York, what is being imagined as far as the potential for the Metaverse, artificial intelligence, all these things? I mean, what's the picture being painted there?
How long have we got?
That's
exactly why I went, right? I was the only Australian that went to this conference, okay? It's a really, it's a great event, and to get a good see-through on what's happening in the world and what are the next stages that are evolving. For me, in the Metaverse, we run an innovation fund at PAC Capital, and that's essentially our job, to find things that are changing a product or a process around the world. And that is innovation to us. Innovation's a big word, and that's what's meaningful to us. Now, Esports is one of those topics, as is cybersecurity, as is artificial intelligence. There's a lot of other topics. But what we're seeing now is this emergence of virtual reality and in-game, how do I say it properly? I think esports was the base of the Metaverse started. It's a community. It's where people can get in there and interact from around the world through technology. Now there is virtual reality that comes in. People want to be in the game, not just play the game. Now the next stage, which I saw in New York, which is absolutely mind-blowing, that now you're controlling these players in these games. And I won't go into too much detail, but there are games out there where you build universes or build your own ecosystems or communities. Now the next stage is from a really great company, which I'm in close talks with at the moment, called InWorld was one of them. And they actually give the players or the characters in the game a brain, or it's artificial intelligence. So the character that you're controlling has a personality, like human-like characters that come to life. So you have a friend that you talk to and not controlling the game, and also almost like a teammate, where you create a teammate within the game, they interact with you, but it's a robot. It's the next stage of gaming, and I wish I had more time to talk about it, because, like, for example, this company started off a year ago through some really high-tech people, started off at $7 million pre-money valuation. They just raised $50 million from Disney at a $400 million valuation a year later. Like, this sort of company is something that can change the way games and people interact in games. Like, that's the stuff we want to see.
Yeah, right. Because and that takes us to the next question. There was two companies of interest that you've got there. The one that you just mentioned is called Discord. Just go through a little bit that a little further, and also how it affects how you're involved in it now.
Sure. So I don't have a direct holding in Discord as such, but this is a good example of Bitcraft, the company that I am invested in. In one of my funds at PAC Capital, there's a private venture fund. And that's a $50 million US dollar fund that is closed off at $50 million. It's still open for some investment now, but it's a fund of funds approach with some co-investment ability. Now, Bitcraft is a big part of this fund for me, and all Bitcraft's funds are closed. Bitcraft, as I touched on earlier in the segment, they are the pioneers of this esports venture. Now, Discord, if you're a gamer or in this technology space, you will know that Discord is the system, the way you communicate through gaming, through players, through interaction. In summary, Bitcraft got involved with Discord 3 years ago at a $100 million valuation. The last valuation that was done was $15 billion. So 100 million to 15 billion.
Huge growth.
So I'm an invested in Bitcraft fund, and they own a piece of Discord. So I do in a third step.
Yeah, of course.
So that's great.
Yeah, in terms of another opportunity in there's a company called InWorld.
InWorld was the company that I was talking about before in the game, in how they're giving players a human-like brain within the game that you control. So it's essentially bringing your controlled character to life in an artificial intelligence format. So you might have an avatar that you create in a metaverse structure, whether it's Roblox or Minecraft or another group. It will always be a player that you control and say, move left or go right or break down this wall, let's build that. The next stage of InWorld's development is they are giving that character human-like features to interact and expressions with you as a friend that I touched on before. That's InWorld.
That's InWorld, right. Yeah. Just one final one, and might be tied into what we have already spoken as well, but esports betting is also a very big and growing market. Of course, esports itself, more or less morphing and growing into like we would see with traditional sports. Is this effectively just seeing those betting markets develop around these sports like we do see in traditional sports? Yep,
correct. And it's always taken a little longer to come to the market because sports is such a big traditional sector. Esports is really new. It's actually so new, and we're seeing exactly the same things coming to market as we saw in esports. The way people want to interact, they want to place a wager on the game, because just like normal sports, just like you watch the US Open tennis or Wimbledon or the Augusta Masters in golf, just like there's a major tournaments, there's the same in esports for League of Legends, Counter-Strike, any of these competitions. Naturally, people want to put a bet on their favorite team, and it's really early in this ecosystem. But I saw it a few years ago evolving. We had a private investment at PAC in a company called Picklebet, and it's an Australian-based company here that essentially allows you to put wagers on esports matches. But I tell you what, that ecosystem is really new and forming, and it's going to get pulled together pretty quickly by a group. But I'm pretty involved with it, so yeah.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah, it is really exciting.
Yeah, really, really very much at the cutting edge, and really appreciate you bringing those insights in, because it's not always a world that we see. But Clayton Larcombe from PAC Capital, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy. Looking forward, I should say, to our next discussion.
Thanks, man. Thanks very much.